Howdy of you delicious people. I am here today to review the 6th episode of Loki. I guess we're to find out that this was the season finale that didn't feel at all like a season finale to me, but people might have different opinions that, oh yeah, no, this is like building up to the next season. Isn't that the worst thing to do? Just to like, hey guys, we didn't even try for this season finale. We're just gonna build up to the next season. Man, I can't wait till Thor: Love and Thunder. What are they gonna do with Loki in that? Nothing, obviously. Is he gonna be a variant in Thor: Love and Thunder? Is season 2 of Loki gonna get resolved by Thor: Love and Thunder when eventually that comes out, which should be anytime soon, within at least the next year, right? Should be coming out. This episode was just a lot of this. There was some fighty, but mostly just a lot of this. Coming from a person that like really gave me nothing. And that could be this review. It's a whole lot of nothing because I'm just like, thank God the show is over. I'm happy that this show is over now. Plus also it wasn't getting high reviews like any other like Disney Plus thing I do, but that's perfectly fine. But maybe it might be like different or whatever. Because this might be the last episode. So people might be interested about the last episode compared to the rest of the season. This show is not worth investing in. Just like I would just say like probably going to the very last episode. Like it kind of feel like, if anything, honestly, this was actually worse than WandaVision, I think. Because at least WandaVision gave us something in some of the episodes. Like this was just like, yeah, we're just going to confuse the heck out of people and then give them an episode that is just going to lead to the next season. And it's going to be boring as F, this episode. That is my true and honest review of this episode, is that it was boring as F, and you get this person who's like cryptically trying to deliver his backstory to you. And I'm like, okay, this is great. This is great that this character is supposedly delivering us his backstory, because when is that going to matter? Months from now, or a year from now, or whenever they decide to push out this second season, because this leads us to a second season for this show. There was a part in here where there was like a moment where it's like, oh yeah, this is a combination of everything that's like been building up throughout this whole entire show, and this one moment is to just happen in this episode, and immediately I severely just rolled my eyes. Like I almost broke my eyes just because of how like just I was like, could I roll them any quicker? Nothing about this episode was a mystery. Like, I was hoping we were going to get something, like, bigger and exciting, but no. Like, we were just going to get, like, boring and uneventful. And, hey, guys, this is going to be in a season 2. So, that's all I'm going to say for a cryptic-like sense, because I also feel like I'm beating a metaphorical horse on this one with talking about this cryptically, but like spoilers isn't going to be any different. I'm probably just naturally assuming this is probably going to end up being the quickest one of these reviews, because there's just a lot of this. Just if you want to tune into this episode for a lot of this, then you're going to be getting a lot of that. Just so Yeah. And it's all about some guy that, like, he did nothing. He did nothing. What was the point of this person? What was the point? I need to figure that out. What would, like, basically, this guy is to basically tell us that nothing is going to matter. Nothing. Nothing's gonna matter. That's basically what this guy had told us. That, like, hey, nothing's gonna change. Nothing's gonna. If you strike me down, like, that's gonna suck because it's not going to matter. Like, everything that this guy was telling us was basically saying that none of this matters. Like, nothing matters. So that was like a big deflating thing where it's just like, okay, so it's either like these people are forced to do one thing or just forced to just like relive this again, but still, like, there is no option C, there is no door number 3, there's just like but anyways, let's get into the coveted double fived, because it is about that time to go into spoiler time. Spoiler time. It's about that time we do spoil this episode. So, let's cover the Renslayer stuff. So, yeah, let's quickly cover that, because Renslayer is just one of a character that is of the show, bizarrely. So, Renslayer is to get a download of information coming from the man who of once he should be known or something. Like, he's freaking Voldemort in this movie or this show. The man who will be named. The one who is profound, or whatever the heck that they call him. The Voldemort guy. The guy who can't actually say what his name is, but has to cryptically spell it out to people. Just like, well, I was like a conqueror, and I was a ruler, and maybe if somebody knows what K-A-N-G could be, I wonder. King the Conqueror? I wonder. I didn't care for this dialogue. So I didn't care for anything. Renslayer is to go on to get this download of information for he who would not possibly be named in this episode. And so she is to go off to go with her tempad when Mobius is to appear and kind of want to, like, prune Renslayer. Renslayer is to go on to find free will. Wow, find free will. Okay. Good luck with that, Renslayer. I hope that works out for you. So, like, really, that's all that Mobius actually does in this episode. He just goes to try to, like, stop Renslayer and try to prune her, but eventually that just goes all for naught. But then we'll get to the very last end of this episode that Mobius is to be tied into. So, because B-15, the hunter girl that is to be like the main focus, like the B-52 girl, whichever her number is, it doesn't. I'm not IMDbing this time around. It's the last episode. There's very few people in this episode. So the one hunter is to go back to a time when Renslayer was to be taken as a variant, and the hunter is to try to prevent them from taking Renslayer, like saying that this isn't the right Renslayer. Like, I guess thinking that if they don't take Renslayer as a variant, then things will drastically change. That this whole Loki event may never happen, but it has to happen anyways. Because because they went back into like Ohio, like in 2018, to try to collect Renslayer. So they did that. Great. All right. Cool. Party bonus. So now let's go into the Loki and Sylvie stuff, because I think that might be important for this show. Probably. You think? Nodding yes, I hope. So Sylvie is to go with Loki to go to the land before time, or the land that time forgot, or the land which this show doesn't seem to have be important enough. So so Sylvie is to like Loki and Sylvie are just like, man, we can like touch the doors, but you know what? Like that's all we're gonna do right now. So we're just gonna breathe. We're gonna breathe it out. We're gonna just like hold a minute, because Sylvie is like, yeah, like I was the one who had a lot of my memories of my past like gone. And so now I want to like take a breather for this moment of like all the stuff that we've accomplished, and we've gotten to this point, and how many other ways could this get milked out. So then they bust through the doors to eventually don't immediately find that there is a nemesis villain-ish person there. Instead, they just see Miss Minutes, and like the Lokis are like, hey, what's up, Miss Minutes? Can I get some of that Minutes? Can I get some of that orange flavor? What you got going on, girl? So, Miss Minutes is to give these Lokis a proposal. Like, basically, like, hey, here's level 1. Like, to kind of see where these Lokis are heading, or what they want. Miss Minutes is to come in there and negotiate with these Lokis to bargain with them. They like Miss Minutes comes to bargain. She's Doctor Strange. Maybe she's gonna give them in a time loop and be like, Dormammu, Lokis, I've come to bargain. But Miss Minutes, I don't want your bargain. Whatever you're gonna bargain, I just don't want. Because Miss Minutes is like, say, hey, if anything, we can give you both like what you've always wanted. Loki, like you battle the Avengers in New York. What if you won? Like, what if you won that whole battle? Like, what if you could kill Thanos? What if you could just like throw like chocolate syrup all over your body and just like dance through the night? Yeah, like I'm sure all of that would be great, right, Lokis? Like Miss Minutes offers like Sylvie like, hey, you could go back to Asgard and like you can live your life. All the memories and everything. And like this Miss Minutes is offering them the world, basically saying that they could like rule Earth, rule Asgard, rule whichever, like be like unlimited or omnipotent or unstoppable. That's what they want. And so both of them are like, yeah, no. We're not gonna just trust that like at the end of it that this is all going to work out. Because there probably had been a Loki that had defeated the Avengers in New York. There probably had been a Loki that poured chocolate syrup all over his body and ran out in the night. There probably had been a Asgardian King Loki. There probably had been a New York King Loki. There probably have been all of these things already as a variant of Loki, like we've already established already. So this would just end up to be back right where at square one again, with us having a different variation of Loki now dealing with this situation, it would just be in an endless loop of just like, well, yeah, like I'm going to take the bargain. Heck yeah, me too. And then we're just gonna endless loop this mother thing, and then we'll just have variants of Lokis that have already been variants, and like it's gonna be weird. So, anyways, both of Lokis decide, no, we're gonna go further in here to go and find the villain of this episode. Hopefully, he's really gonna be cool, and he's immediately going to tell us like who he is, and he's also going to immediately just have a good solid fight scene with us. But no, that doesn't happen. So they go into another room, which leads to another room, which leads to like it's basically the whole like national treasures thing where it's like, and this will lead to another clue, and this will lead to another clue. Whoop-de-doo, it's a clue. Whoop-de-doo. Anyways, so the Lokis go into another room and they don't see anything, but all of a sudden there bizarrely is some guy at the elevator, and it's all like, hey, hopefully this guy is going to be important. Sure, fair enough, he actually is. So now this guy is to basically tell us that he's the villain of this story, while he's eating an apple, just going, that's like parts of his dialogue. It's him like chewing this apple. I'm like, like, dude, I just went and watched like a movie called Archive, where somebody's like stuffing a bagel in their mouth and like, and I was like expecting him like, man, this is kind of garbage. You have this like high-end show, and you have this guy who's like biting into an apple and then talking. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Give me subtitles at the bottom of the goddamn screen so I can make sure I can understand and waste more time just listening to this yakety yak of a conqueror or a ruler or a time dancer. I don't like in his garbage. And so this guy is to break into like not only song but dance, and then tell us his whole entire background story, where this guy is to have decided to one day to have two conqueror guys go into one room together and spend a lot of time together. But then all of a sudden that is to start to lead to have like all of these variants eventually just starting to pile in and starting to spend a lot of time with one another. To where this conqueror is to tell both of these Lokis that, hey guys, well, here's your ultimatum. You guys either need to just go back to the TVA and rule over them like the gods that you are, or like you can try to kill me and like I'll just come back as a reincarnated like thing, and so basically I'm an unstoppable force anyways, because we have this conqueror that is basically mentioned that he knows every single move that all these Lokis are to make, that both Sylvie and this other Loki is going to make. He knows every single thing that they're going to do. He knows every single choice they're going to make, and blah, 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 blah. So this guy knows everything, and so reasonably there isn't nothing to unpredict between these two Lokis. And so this guy just goes on and on and on about his backstory and his life that he has led and everything that has led up to this moment and so on and so forth. And so this just eventually leads to both of these Lokis just fighting it out And like we have like the Highlander Endgame moment where we have not Avengers Endgame. I'm talking about Highlander Endgame, where the two like Highlanders are going to just like sword battle one another, but eventually we have like Connor McLeod of the Clan McLeod going and doing that one special like sword move where all of a sudden like the one blade is behind the person's back, and Duncan is saying like no Connor, and then like Connor is telling Duncan it's like stop, like come on, like there can only be one, like remember that. And then Duncan's like well okay Connor. and and that doesn't happen to these Lokis. So both of these Lokis are to fight it out because Loki is to tell Sylvie, like, hey, like, we're complete opposites. Like, we're never going to work out. So there can only be one. Like, Highlander style. And so Sylvie's like, yeah, you are right. Like, it is going to have to be Highlander style. So both of these Lokis are to sword it up and to, like, fight one another, sword style. But eventually this just leads to both these Lokis eventually kissing because that was the severe rolling my eyes moment where I'm like, man, my eyes just can't roll fast enough. Because I'm like, yeah, of course that's gonna build to that moment. Of course. But anyways, so and it created a huge Nexus event. And so here's also the thing. We have the Conqueror who's to mention, yeah, guys, like actually I've been lying this whole time. I've been fibbing about a lot of things. And the Conqueror doesn't know what's going to happen at this 10 to 5 to whatever seconds ago. That anything could be possible. Anything could be unpredictable and whatever what have you. And so all of a sudden, so this guy was saying that he knew everything that was going to go on, but then all of a sudden he didn't know. I'm like, God, why? Like, this guy seems all powerful and all knowing and whatever, but then eventually he's just like, oh, well, I guess I'm not. Like, I guess I'm. Like, because the story has to just suit my fancy that way. You just be like, maybe, like, it can be unpredictable, and I could possibly die, because I'm not sure about a number of things. But yeah, but, like, so. But reasonably, what is going to happen is. So. Sylvie is going to go and have Loki go back into his TVA. He's gonna go. He's Sylvie's gonna have Loki go back with the TVA to, I guess, fight the onslaught of these Kang the Conquerors or the Conquerors variants coming, and so because Sylvie is gonna just stab the Conqueror, she's gonna stab him. And so that's just gonna lead to like all these timelines supposedly like swerving off in all kinds of bizarreness that like all of these timelines are just gonna go like berjerkin, beswerkin, bejackin anywhere. So all of a sudden we are to have Loki go back with the TVA and like we have Loki who's going to Mobius and to like the Hunter, the B-15, and he's like, hey, like everything is coming, like everything's going down, like this is like DEFCON 1, like crazy stuff is gonna hit the fan. And Mobius doesn't even know who Loki is. It's like, who are you again, sir? And Loki is like, oh my god. So like time is just going to like annihilate itself and to the point where there's going to be so many time slipstream things that people aren't going to be able to know what's left and what's right and whatever. Like, and evidently we have a statue of the Conqueror, like, in this TVA building instead of the Timekeepers. So obviously, like, we're having Loki who's like, oh my god, like, we now have this Conqueror that is basically, like, cementing his existence in this time period, or this time slot, or whichever. And so now, uh we're gonna eventually get a whole slew of all these conquerors come in and try to take out the TVA and take out, like, life as we know it, kind of thing. And there's nothing there's nothing we can do to stop them. And no matter how Loki's going to explain to all these people what the heck to do, they won't understand. They won't know what it's like. So really, that's just this episode in a nutshell. I quickly, like, hugely, like, I made a lot of jokes along the way, but there's nothing really relevant in this episode. It's basically just wait for the big key impact moments, but there's just a lot of dialogue that I'm just like, oh my god, this is a waste. This is a waste. And they wasted a lot of time just doing a lot of just, like, slowing down for this episode. Like, how slow could somebody walk into a scene? Like, I think was how they were, like, trying to hugely pace every bit of this episode, which I thought was like, oh my god, this is annoying. This is really annoying for a season finale to do this to me. They could have had a fight scene, like, they could have had a number of fight scenes just for fun that led to nowhere, but at least it would have been a cool fight scene. But it led to nothing and it went nowhere. Man, I would have liked to have seen, like, both of these Lokis fight Miss Minute. Like, let's just, like, have a bizarre CGI fight that makes no sense. But it would just be, like, Miss Minute just bizarrely fighting the Lokis. That would have been cool. I would have been bought into that episode if they did that. But yeah, we were just given this, where it's just like, hey man, let's go and sit in chairs more. Yeah, let's definitely sit in chairs more. Because evidently Tom isn't getting, like, paid enough to just sit in a chair through this episode. Man, what a challenging job this must be. But yeah, like, really, it's probably just a challenging job to try to, like, explain this garbage to anybody that probably still won't understand. Or even, like, I'm sure this is going to be a hard show to pitch to anybody. But, like, hey, could you, like, considering this is a press junket for the Loki show, could you promote me this show and try to help me understand what this is? Because you probably definitely weren't going to get this from here, sadly enough. You're going to have to get this from somebody that will be willing to explain the show because they bizarrely liked it. Because that's okay if someone did, but that wasn't me. That was not me at all. So I'm going to get out of here. There's just... I am so... Like, I've never been so disappointed in my life via this show. And overall, just... There was no payout in this season, like, finale. It was basically, hey, gear up for season 2. Like, at least it gave us a prepping for that, where a lot of the other ones just kind of cryptically were just like, yeah, we might have a season 2, I don't know. There's a lot of that's up in the air right now. More than likely, we're probably not going to get a season 2 because most of these shows are just, like, garbage. And a lot of them should just go right into a movie somewhere. Because who cares? But anyways, that's all I have to say about this episode. This is the last one. Feel bad about it. So I'm going to get out of here. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, everybody.